Copy
I
gets a
just
bad rap, but it's like, it's like everything. It's like art, music. You trace your creative inspiration in, whether it's a person or a artwork, and you do your own, thing, and it's never exactly the same. I mean, if it was exactly the same, you're just basically a reproducer, or a forger, right? Hello, and welcome to another captivating episode of Turbo Pit Fighter, the making of the graphic novel slash comic slash drawing slash art slash whatever. I am Jake Jacobs, and I'm here with my co-host Kurt Brugel. How's it going, Kurt?
I'm just not feeling it today. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, we had some equipment nightmares
Uh, I,
before we.
that's not even what has me. But
Oh yeah,
yeah,
everything okay? Everything all
I
right,
mean
big guy?
everything's yeah. I'm not depressed. I'm just you know not feeling the job of being a podcaster. You know what
Okay.
I mean? Like,
Well,
we're and I kind of, I definitely want to talk about this. Like, this is a job. At least we're meeting, once a week. But just even if, it's a lot to bring yourself to enthusiasm mode sometimes, and faking it, ain't gonna make it all the
yeah,
time. You know what I mean? So I don't want there to be any kind of like I don't want people to think like, oh, they're always on. They're always happy. No, we're not. Everything's not always good. You're not always positive. But the thing is you got to show up. You just got to show up.
yeah.
And then you go from there. And I'll tell you, I mean, I've just been scratching along here for the last 15 minutes, and I'm feeling a little more into it and stuff. But in all honesty, you know,
Yeah, I can't. We've said this before. I can't imagine like some of these, professional guys with that have a Marvel or DC assignment and or Image or whatever, and they have a deadline, and their idea has already been promoted in the comic previews, and the pre-orders are already in, and then you're only halfway through the book, and your pace is going slow, and you don't feel it, but those guys have to do it. They have to muddle through. So, we're just doing this like, on the side when we feel like it. We have other things going on. And I've been really into it this summer, but I just haven't had the time. I have so
yeah.
many other things. Had to go buy my daughter a car yesterday, and you're just like running around doing all the catch up things. So I'm always happy when I'm sitting there drawing, and it's also cool to talk things out, right, and get it off your chest. So we could do a little therapy here,
Yeah.
but, but yeah, I was excited last week. I went out and went to these bookstores, and I went to Forbidden Planet, which is the big comic
Ooh.
store in New York City. And everybody should go there. It's a good place. They have really good prices on T-shirts, all kinds of T-shirts. But I bought some books, and I guess I could do a little show and tell. But maybe we want to take one of these books at a time and do a breakout
Yeah.
sometime.
Yeah. You want to just
But
do a real quick,
uh,
like, throw them down and shoot what the titles are and tease the hell out of us?
well, here's yeah. So here's some show and tell. I got this one now. Right, everybody needs to know if you go to Forbidden Planet, save another hour and go to the Strand bookstore, which is on the same block, and you can get a lot of used books. Like this is a, I usually not into DC that much, but this is super heroines, and I was looking to see do they have any like buff, good poses and references that I can see. If not, I'll just bring this into my classroom and just like let the kids destroy it and everything. But this does have a lot of this does have a lot of great DC history going all the way back to the beginning of Wonder Woman and and even before that, they have some Golden Age characters. So that's this book. And I got it for the low price at the Strand of $7.95.
Wow.
Nice. Yeah. So there's one. Then at the other bookstore, well, let's see. Yeah, also at the Strand, I got this classic Marvel superheroes. I haven't even cracked it yet. This was only $10 at the Strand. So I bought this. Haven't even cracked it yet. Um, I have this one, The Spectacular Sisterhood of Superwomen, awesome female characters from comic book history. This was a little bit more. This was $15. Um, I haven't looked in this either. Maybe when I do, I'll go over it with you. And then I got this one for $8.50. There's a nice swastika on the back. That's always nice. Um, it's exterminatingangel.com, but it's called Divas, Dames, and Daredevils, the Lost Heroines of the Golden Age comics. So this is going to be cool because it has a lot of old reprints and it has a lot of old history. And let's see what else. I'm almost running out. No, not quite. Wait, hold on. I'll show you what else I got. On my little jaunt to the bookstore, I got. Oh, I bought this after all. Yeah. So the League of Regrettable Superheroes.
Oh, wow.
So these are ideas that came out and weren't the greatest.
Yeah, there's a Fletcher
Like this,
Hanks there. Yeah, that's
yeah,
Phantom. I got a
yeah.
guy.
The
I got
which
a
was
guy who did a commission for me. Um,
yeah,
yeah, I love that character.
yeah. Phantoma was very bizarre. I remember reading about that when I did my slideshow of the history of female. So here, um, Kirby and Lee's Stuff Said expanded second edition, the complex genesis of the Marvel universe in its creator's own words. This is a series, and they have these really thick, coffee table versions of this stuff, um, which is a lot of money. But this was reasonably priced at Forbidden Planet. I think this was only, well, I guess this was 26.95. Did I pay that much? Yeah, but this is chock full of stuff. So I'm gonna be happy to get into that. Um, this I got for 6.99. Girl Comics. I'm not I'm not thinking this is going to be very great. It has Invisible Woman, Storm, She-Hulk, powerful Marvel Woman, but I think this is mostly nowadays stuff featuring Ann Nocente, Jill Thompson, Colleen Coover, Amanda Connor, Leah Hernandez, Carla Speed, McNeil, and more. I've never heard of any of them, and this is the cover, but it was cheap enough, and um, so I could always just bring it into the classroom. All right, and finally, last but not least, I bought, boom, the Mighty Marvel at Masterworks. I was tempted to get the full, what do they recall, like Universal Genesis, Ultimate Edition, which was like $100, and that had X-Men 1 all the way up to like X-Men 38. But instead, I just got these for 15.99 a piece, and this one has X-Men 1 through 10, and this one has X-Men 11 through 19. And I figured if I get that far, in my idea, then I'll just go back and get the next one after that. And of course, my idea is to go page, issue by issue, page by page, and make a new script of new characters just based on like ideas and and things that inspired you, because it's a lot quicker if you're homaging an existing story than it is reinventing the wheel. There's already a formula there. There's already a beginning, middle, and end, and we know it was successful. And so if you're just kind of adapting that to your characters, and what happens is you usually end up diverting completely 180 degrees away from it. But it's a great starting point if if you're if you're stuck doing this, right? If you're stuck doing this for hours and hours and hours, it's just like something you could just plug into, and it really helps. That's how I started with the Commandy number one. I started doing Pearl White Melody, and I just completely just took off on its own, and I created its own little world, and I was off and running. But it's a great starting point. I would highly recommend people do that. Like take your favorite classic comic, sit down, and if you're a script writer, just rewrite it with a whole different character and a whole different perspective, sensibility, whole new history, and then you'll see what happens is after just a few pages, you're off and running on your own.
Yeah, I
So,
like doing reverse engineering. So
right.
I'll take like, especially like golden age stuff. I'll take a um, like a 5 or 7 page story, and then literally just rewrite it, just writing it, and page one, panel one, describe it, and then go from there. So yeah, it's definitely good, just keeping your
Yeah.
chops.
Yep.
And
It's
you
definitely.
get so much insightfulness. I always get really surprised. Like I like something, and then I'll sit down and start copying it, and then I'll go, "Oh, this is why I like this so much." But when you're just staring at it, going, "I like this, I like this, I like this,"
Yeah.
it's just I like this. But then, as a creative person, when you get that opportunity to copy it, you go, "Oh, this is why I like it," And then
Yeah.
that information gets added to your little arsenal, your tool belt.
Yeah. I mean, that's the great thing about being in a genre, right? You can say, "Oh, I'm not copying them. I'm just in the genre,"
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But
Well,
but
copying gets such a bad rap, and it's I don't know.
copying
I
gets a
just
bad rap, but it's like, it's like everything. It's like art, music. You trace your creative inspiration in, whether it's a person or a artwork, and you do your own, thing, and it's never exactly the same. I mean, if it was exactly the same, you're just basically a reproducer, or a forger, right? It's
yeah.
I mean, yeah, they do that with, like famous paintings. You could order, hey, I'm gonna get Starry Night reproduced for my living room. Like, who cares, right? But
Yeah.
if you're working in the style, and then you have something completely different, different colors, and different person doing it, then it's like, oh yeah, that was inspired by Starry Night. Oh wow, okay, you know.
You see the documentary No Direction, Bob Dylan?
Oh, it sounds familiar. No, I think I have that on my to watch
Like
list.
3.5 hours long. I had it on DVD. I loaned it to somebody. I think I've watched that thing 10 times,
Really?
and it was so fascinating how his original name is,
Robert Zimmerman.
yeah, Robert Zimmerman, yeah. And he lived out there in the Pokies and everything, but he just loved Woody Guthrie and just good
Yeah,
old good old stuff like that. And then when he goes to New York, all he does is just sing those songs over and over and over again. And then all of the sudden, he starts doing his own stuff, and it just there's a line from a quote where they show Allen Ginsberg, being all spiritual, saying he was when there was one night down in one of the places he was playing, and he appeared to be a funnel of air. He was one with his music, and
right.
you could no longer deny that he was now Bob Dylan. But the confession is literally copied the hell out of Woody Guthrie and all those guys and that tradition.
You
And
fake it
then
till you make it. Yeah.
yeah,
Um,
you hear a lot of that.
I was just listening to Little Steven, and his satellite channel. So he was doing a little intro, and he did the history of the Stones, and they were like, a cover band,
Yep.
and then but they were getting some hits, and what they were doing was they were taking some R&B songs that were pretty obscure, and they had this big, audience because they're white, right? And they're in England and everything during the craze of the Beatles, and everyone's going nuts over new music. And so then their producer, Andrew Loog Oldham, said, "Well, we're going to be running out of material soon. We got to get these guys writing their own stuff." And he locked them in a kitchen, famously,
Yeah. Yeah.
and he said they can't come out until they have a song written. And when they came out the next morning, they had a song written called "As Time Goes By," which they lifted off of Casablanca, right? And then the producer said, "Oh, this is a nice song." He didn't see it as a Stone song, so he gave it to Marianne Faithfull. They changed the name to "As Tears Go By,"
Ooh.
and she had a pretty massive hit with it. And so that's it. They were on the map as songwriters, and the next thing you know, they wrote "Last Time" and "Satisfaction," and they became the juggernaut that we know and love. So it's every art form. It's the same thing. There is no shame. And while we're on this topic, I could also tell you that I saw the Elvis movie,
Ooh. Don't say anything.
and well, I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this. Tom Hanks, like, is amazing in that
Yeah.
movie. It's his movie, and I think it was done in. I'm pretty sure it was done in conjunction with the Elvis estate, because it's very flattering to Elvis, but it gives you a very interesting perspective on his relationship with Colonel Tom, and that's something that a lot of people didn't know very much about. So, but I'm not gonna spoil it, but you got to see it. Everybody has to
Oh,
see
I
it.
will.
You don't have to
I'm a
be
huge Elvis fan.
right, but this is like, even if you're not an Elvis fan, this is great.
Yeah.
It's really visual, and it's really an amazing job of storytelling with a soundtrack, and that really takes Elvis's music and puts it.
That's all right, mama.
Yeah,
That's all right,
that
you.
was his,
That's all right, mama. Anything you want to do, and that's all right. That's all right.
yeah, that was his
Anyway, Jake.
first radio hit, Billy Crudup, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, so and it shows the same thing in that movie. Like, he's doing covers, and then he ends up being a talent on his own, steps into the spotlight, and and really takes off from there. And then you have the king of rock and roll. So everybody can be a king in your own sphere if you just start out and emulate your heroes, and do stuff that you love with fidelity, and then yeah, it should take a couple of years to really you know, to really hone your craft. But there you go. So we are doing our little thing here. As you can see, I am drawing a panel. We spoke last week
What
about,
page? You're on. That's page 8, right?
yeah, page 8.
Nice.
I finished page 7 last time. I just had that one last panel. Um, And talking about, like, not feeling it, I did have writer's block or on this, or I had artist block or writer's block or layout block, whatever you want to call it. And I really got hung up on this page. Like, I spent, I think, 2 or 3 episodes just on this page. But I'm out of it now. I do have to go back and do some backgrounds, but I think I'm gonna leave this background just sparse, on purpose, like just plain white. It's okay to do every once in a while, and it gives a real feeling of open air and stuff. And so, but then, yeah, this was this action sequence where the guy's swinging into the van, destroying the robot, um, and then Turbo grabs him, throws him in the yoke. The trophy girl throws the tumble wire eggs out the window, and then here Turbo just pummeling the bejesus out of this guy as Trophy takes the wheel, and then we're on to, so that was page 7. Now we're on to page 8, and page 8. This is what happens when the tumble wires unfurl their springs and all their like hooked coils and everything. So it happens right in front of these motorcycles right here, and they drive right into it. So now I'm doing where the motorcycles get tripped up, and these guys go flying, and so that's what I'm doing now. The next panel, as you can see, my little map here, my little road map, and and I did move this around. So I was going to have them taking a look at this imposing mountain pass going uphill with like all these like rocks and craters, so it was going to be a very tricky ride. But I moved that down because if she's throwing the eggs out the window in the very last page or the very last panel, then we have to show them what happens, like just a second later. So I put that up top here, and I'm laying out this page in this kind of like full page style right here, or error I was. Yes, right here. So these things will unfurl. These guys will go flying, and then in the next panel, it's going to show, all of this kind of like destruction in the background. These guys are falling away, and some of them are still pursuing. And then I want to show the van up on two wheels, and Turbo throwing the guy out the window. I might flip this around, do it the other direction. And then I wanted to have um, down here a shot of the imposing mountain pass, and at the same time there are going to be some dialogue that indicates the robot will be warning them that he's sensing what are incendiary device, like an open flame, and that's when in the last panel it's going to be yeah, they threw the Molotov cocktail into the cab, and they're going to have to deal with that on the next page. So that's what I'm working on. What are you working on?
I am on page 15, and that's where we left off.
When we left, Turbo.
Where we left off. But I have to say this. I did. Where did I go? I had it here. Yep. So this is.
Yeah,
I jumped over to 16. So I actually have already got going on 16. Um, I just kind of, whoa, I need to be on 16. And then I remember I didn't finish 15. So here I am back at 15. And this is a pretty,
intense.
oh, yeah, I'll use the word intense. So, she's getting here. Let's even jump back to where
Oh, you're in the flashback. Yeah.
the laser whip. So escaping the bar. This is page 14. And then this fellow's got a laser whip. She gives a big old ka-chunk with the boot, spiky
Now
boot.
those pants on the left are gonna have shading, right?
Oh yeah. These here.
Okay.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. Yeah, I haven't just got to that point. I'm just like I said. I'm just giving my broad
Uh-huh.
marks, laying stuff in, and then good old helmet crush. But then here in the background is Laser Whip, who gives her a big old slash about the back.
Right. Now, if we I don't know if we made a little continuity boo-boo in the pages after that, if her shirt isn't ripped in the back.
Ooh, let me check. Let me check. Let me
I'm
check.
pretty sure
Let me do a verification.
pretty sure we didn't do that.
Well, I don't see. There's no back view here, and I don't have 17 printed out. But I will make a notation about that,
Yeah,
and
maybe we
definitely have to
take
do some ad work.
yeah, we take a look down the line here. I mean,
Yeah, no, good
I
catch.
have no problem with it. It's kind of cool, to have this rip in the back of her shirt now. But
Yeah,
that when they
she wouldn't scar, would she?
Yeah, maybe, maybe temporarily, but I don't, I
Right.
definitely didn't show that. We show her getting patched up by the trophy girl, like, just kind of putting some like bandages or on her.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll have to take a look on down the line.
But here's then she that zap of the laser whip sends her off into a flashback, and then this is young Turbo seeing her parents, her father's head blown off, and then mother with the butcher knife there, but and then um, these ragamuffins and it's pretty brutal. Got the kids are all laying there,
Right.
um, and then so they're still looking for kids, and then here's um, Turbo, and then the baddie fires will round off, and then young Turbo with mom's knife or a kitchen knife, another one, then comes lunging. I wonder what will happen next,
Yeah,
Jake.
and just so you know,
Yes,
her
yes, sir.
baby sister is under that couch. And
Oh
so
shit! Did not know
yeah,
that.
and that round is the end of her.
Damn,
Yeah, so
damn. That makes it even more
yeah,
intense.
that's a soul ripping flashback right there.
Yeah, yeah. She really comes into the world with a lot of uh, terror and atrocity and just that obviously forms her into being a
Yeah,
kind of a brutish, badass,
yeah,
individual herself.
just reactionary, reactive, and yeah, and then the
So,
next.
have you
Go ahead.
ever? I'm
No,
sorry. Go
no,
ahead.
I was just saying the next issue kind of deals in the thought bubbles with some of her thinking, like she doesn't care anymore. That's why she's so brave and she does
Yeah.
all these missions and stuff. Yeah, but go ahead.
Yeah. Just in your own like development, do you ever like bring Turbo into like let's say dark scenarios? Just like try like being sadistic. Just sort of like how she'll like be when somebody's tenderly touching her or saying that she'll have a flashback. Obviously, some pain is inflicted. Flashback, but then something along the lines of like seeing a bunny hopping along the grass and up away, and then just having a thought of like I just do the bunny a favor and just stomp its little life out because it's gonna be
Right. I
horrendous.
mean, well, that I think she kind of like knows her place in the ecosystem is like, her job is to fight and survive and kill these other people who are in this world, the same world as her, as an adult. But as a young Turbo, she's just following the orders of her mother superior, and that brings her to another death, the glorious death of Sister Ray, which we'll go over, and then she's kind of like sent to another um, mentor figure, or at least on a quest. But we might have on the way to the prison where she's going to meet Elevina. We might have something where she's grappling with. I mean, when she's like kind of like a soldier, or when she's like on a mission, she has a purpose and she doesn't have to think and be trapped with her thoughts and to make her own decisions, right? She's just carrying out the mission. She's just a good soldier. I think that's the way I see young Turbo so far. But we'll get into that because we're gonna bring her through, whatever age she is there, like 10 or 12, all the way up through adulthood. And that's young Turbo is gonna be in the forest and in the tunnels and in the prisons. So I was just trying to do a little bit of advanced work here. I did do a sketch, and this is by no means definitive, but I was trying to design Elevena, and I have I
Oh,
have in my mind. I'm not sure if she's a glower or not. I know she's going to be really smart and she's going to be really technical. She's a builder. That's why they're sending the gun to Elevena so she can make a mold out of it, and reproduce it. Um, she's basically like a machinist, right? And she has these access to all these tools because she is the machinist for the prison, and she's forced to do all this work for them, and she thinks, and they think, that she's complying, but she has a secret, resistance going on, underground resistance, in at the same time. So I don't know, like I have no ideas. So I just made her tall. I like the idea of having these like slimming designs. I don't know if this is like a little Alpha Flight-ish or whatever, but these slimming this if and then I was thinking here on her chest that maybe all of the prisoners have a barcode, so that it's easily scanned
like
by
QR
cameras and
code.
stuff. And yeah, I was thinking about doing a QR code, but then I want to like fast forward into the future. What will QR codes look like in the future? And I was also struggling, should she be muscular or should she just be tall? Should she be, brainy, nerdy? I don't know. We're just inventing this character, as we go. All we know is, because Denny O'Neil said that, every page and every action and everything in a story has to be bringing you towards the ultimate resolution and the climactic scene, right? There's never anything there that's superfluous. So and when you have a character, she's created, for this purpose. Her purpose is to be this brainiac behind these prison walls, that is going to, take the gun from Turbo and then make a mold out of it. Or she's taking the technology that the pharmacist, gives, and she's turning it into like, a weapon that can be reproduced, let's say. And then the mold to do that is going to be what she gives back to Turbo to give to the Resistance when she meets her, end in the same way that Sister Ray did, and that's going to be a big splashy ending in like issue 4 or 5, I think, when everybody in the whole prison community finds out that they weren't getting away with anything. They were being watched, and they were being, counterintelligence, and they were, they had their eyes on them the whole time, and they were letting them get away with, with stuff, just so they could see, where the resistance goes, and Turbo, is a part of that. She'll be followed, and so she'll say, when they learn this, they're like, oh no, the location of the tunnels, they must know, and she has to beat them back to the tunnels. But now she's got the gun, and so she's got this extra firepower. It's gonna be cool. It's gonna
Yes,
be cool. But
definitely.
just in terms of Elevena, how to draw her, and what are her character features, character study features. Um, maybe a lot of freckles, or I don't know. But I was just, we're looking at things. I have all these books and all these references, and I'm looking at things for ideas, and so that's all I have is like, she's got these special glasses with this little like loop thing, like a digital loop, and she's tall, very, very tall, which means she could be a glower or
Maybe she's like
not.
the
I don't
female
know.
version of the
Eh,
gyro captain from Mad Max and then
right. Well,
Thunderdome.
the gyro captain he was a tinkerer, right? So she's definitely a tinkerer. but she's got a lot more going on with technology. I mean, she's going to be able to be working with this weaponry that takes these two different types of radioactive pellets, and and timing, and the chamber, they're in these chambers that are shielded, and and then the whole idea of the weapon we're going to get into, where it builds up this um combination of the two radioactive elements that builds and builds into the gun until it just like releases this like death ray, and it's like a delayed particle. So there'll be like a bullet that's a radioactive pellet that it shoots, and so that's one thing. But then the bullet has a fission reaction, so that there's a delay, and once you shoot it, it just like shoots somebody, but then it just like explodes the whole thing, like a mini a bomb, that can take out the side of a building. So that's going to be the weapon, and it's going to be a game changer for the resistance, and then it will lead to the difference between, young Turbo's world, where the military is controlling the ruling family with all the drones is in control, and then, you know, takes them out. Like, that's the difference. The resistance is able to mass produce these guns, and then they have much more firepower, and then once they're taken out, the irony is that the world doesn't necessarily get any better. It just becomes more of a anarchistic landscape. That's when grown-up Turbo lives. So out of the frying pan into the fire. But um, we don't. One thing that we don't explain is what happens to all the guns in the future. Maybe it'll be something that only Elevena have the technology to reproduce them. And oh, and so yeah, big spoiler coming, but the very last issue and the last scene in the last issue is that there will be one gun left over in nowadays times, and that will prove to be extremely consequential in the climactic last pit fight at the Nationals, where it's Turbo versus the Unbeknownst One,
Ooh,
and she's getting her ass kicked, and she's about to die, and she's unconscious on the floor, and Man of Arm and Mr. Ike has already used all of his tricks, and fighting the Unbeknownst One's forces, because the whole thing was like rigged, and everybody's involved. It's a melee, and so he depletes all of his tricks, and then like he's like down, and incapacitated, and the only one left is Trophy Girl, and there's all of these bets going on, and there's all this like $1 million money on the line, and all these people in this rowdy venue, and everyone's going crazy, and she spots, or she knows somebody that has the remaining gun, and she uses her strength, which is seduction. So she lures the guy into like a back room or a coat room or something, and then she fucking shivs the guy and takes the gun, and then goes back out to the pit with just in time to shoot the Unbeknownst One, and he blows to bits in a million atoms, and takes out like half of the bad guys at the same time, and Turbo is spared, and that's going to be the end of the whole graphic novel.
wow.
So that's where Elevena comes in. Her part, her part in this is taking the raw technology, that Turbo got from the pharmacist, and Sister Ray sends her to this, prison complex, to this person who's in captivity, but not really, but yes, really, right? And she's going to build the gun. She's going to build the weapon, that will change everything in young Turbo's world. And then in old Turbo's world, all the guns are sought after and all the ammo's gone and everything's, kind of just dies out because nobody knows how to repair them. Nobody knows how to make any new ones. The mold is broken, and they're just grandfathered in. However many are still left, and it's a very powerful gun. And then that will be the end of the graphic novel. Um, yeah, so I have these ideas in my head. I just so now we need to know, like, okay, how does Elevena look?
Yeah.
And I'm making a pin up here, right? So, this will be Elevena, some kind of futuristic barcode. I don't know if we have any ideas, how to design that. I don't want to draw like a whole QR thing where we have to draw that every time and every angle, every time she's there. If we can make it like just more of like the thin lines and the thick lines, I think that would be better.
It could be like a number, but it's all
Right.
it's all obscured by just sort of maybe squiggly lines and dots.
Well, I think in the prison complex, let's say they have cameras. The QR code just brings up whenever they pass by a security checkpoint and they scan it, it just brings up this whole screen that has her picture, her information, like all of her profile, for the wardens or the jailer or whatever. I mean, the prison complex we have to think about too. How we're going to do this little mini world, because one thing I know is that Turbo's gonna have to break in and then get herself out. So they're gonna have to have like these escape tunnels and these hatches and everything. And um, she's gonna break out this other love interest, young, teen Turbo's love interest, who I'm calling Polska, but I don't know. We can maybe change that. Um, but one thing I know about the prison complex is that there's gonna be these giant robots, like real big, those Japanese like transformer, what do you call it, giant
Mecca.
things that are just, yes, that's it, mecha. Yeah, they're mecha. There's going to be these giant mecha that are standing, always on guard, always ready to be activated, right at the foot of the prison complex, and they're kind of like sentinels that are watching it and guarding it, and they're able to be activated at any time. So there will be mecha in this prison, and that will be like, how everybody can see from miles away. It's like a deterrent, and it's also a defense, system. And the mecha will be activated in the episode where the whole prison complex, where Elevena dies, she will take out the whole prison complex, just like what happened with the orphanage. We're gonna definitely have like that as a theme. These grandiose death scenes for Turbo's mentors, and at the same time, the prison complex will go sky high, and the mecha will be involved. I don't know. I don't know. We got to think about how that will look and how it will play out. But that's those are some cool ideas that are definitely baked in.
Yes.
So we just need help with granular detail. If anybody has some ideas that's listening, and an idea pops into your head, don't be shy to send it to us. We
Don't
could
be
very well incorporate your idea into the story. If it's a good idea that we like, we can use it, and you can get a mention in one of our issues in the liner notes, and be part of this community, right? Don't be shy, and if it's a bad idea, we'll just say, thank you very much. We'll take it under advisement, and we'll be very polite. But if it's a good idea, I'll be like, or it could be one of those things where it's like a sounding board idea, where we hear it and they were like, oh yeah, that makes me think of this, right? And then and that's how creative teams work, right? You bounce off each other, and you know, it's like, oh, when you mention that, it makes me think of this.
Yep.
So, right. So how
Well,
are we
we
doing on
have
time?
one. We have. We're coming on the 45-minute mark, and just to add to your little spiel there, we do have, and I'm going to put it up on the screen right now. Our first Turbo fan art pinup.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah. You showed
yeah,
that to
and
me. Yeah.
so this is from um, is it, Val Fernando, and he has a YouTube channel. I'll put a link in the bottom, but we would just like to thank him for being the first official Turbonaut fan to give us
Some
um,
artwork.
it's a pinup. So yeah, thank you very much. Love it, and we would love to see even more.
Yeah,
Um,
that nice going, Val. We would love to hear from you again. And Fernando, I'll remember your name because that's one of my favorite ABBA songs. And yeah, keep it coming if you want to. But you know, by all means, you know, work on your own stuff too and show us what you're doing there.
Yep, definitely. Yeah, he has a character named Wind Block. So, yep, you can
Okay.
get more information at his YouTube channel there. So, all right. Well, with that being said, I have to say I feel a lot better now, Jake.
Yeah,
Talking talking comics can cure the woes. You
talking
know,
comics. Yeah,
you
talking.
know, it's
We
just
we talked a little comics. We talked a little Turbo Pit Fighter. We talked a little popular movies. Um, Maybe on the next episode you have something else that we you know we have these weeks now where every time we see something we can like bookmark it and talk about it in our podcast. So it's nice when we see something to compare notes and see what's going on in the world.
well, we're definitely making, I think, a break from the YouTube comic book podcasting tradition, which is, we're talking about making a comic, all the influences, all the ups and downs, all the ins and outs, just the whole process of being a part of it. Because if you're in the comics like we are, which most definitely are, if you've gotten to the 45-minute point in this video, there's just something there, and you're just always willing to go there and enjoy it, and then find new stuff and find old stuff that's new to you now, and so on and so forth. So yeah, please make comments below. Give us some heads up about some stuff. We're two old guys, very much not with the times and the current state of who's making comics and everything, because we're probably too stuck in our own past and wanting to relive those things. But we're always willing to take a gander and get in and from there. So thank you so very much, and we look forward to seeing you in the next episode.
Right on.